country known as Hong Kong was under British control until the turn of the century, and then Hong Kong was given back to China. But Hong Kong was given the Basic Law. The Basic Law made Hong Kong a democracy for 50 years regardless of what China wanted. To start off the background information, Hong Kong is located on the west side of China and connected to the Pacific Ocean. Therefore, Canada and Hong Kong are easily connected together by one ocean. Also, a plus for the Canadian businesses is the fact that only 25% of the people living in Hong Kong believe religion is important. So Canadian businesses don't need to worry about religion affecting business to a high degree. Unfortunately, Hong Kong doesn't have a winter, and most of Hong Kong's temperature doesn't drop below 10 degrees Celsius. Therefore, Canadian businesses wouldn't be able to sell any winter-related products in Hong Kong. A political issue currently occurring in Hong Kong is that the Chinese government are trying to take control of Hong Kong in a sneaky way. The Chinese government is rigging the elections of candidates so it doesn't matter which candidate the people vote for, since all of the candidates work for the Chinese government. Overall, this won't affect business too harshly in the long term, but there might be some rough patches that we can see in the foreseeable future. Also, Hong Kong has many tariffs. These tariffs can't be avoided by Canadian businesses currently, but it's quite normal to encounter tariffs when dealing with international business. Hong Kong's legal and political system are very similar to Canada's. The way laws and governments are formed are based on the same ideas. But Hong Kong and China are having corruption issues. In regards to the political and legal issues, this corruption could benefit or have a negative effect on international trade and investment, but it also depends on what the Chinese government is looking for. Hong Kong has a very low unemployment and inflation rate, 3.4% and 2.9% respectively, which is good for Canadian businesses because it shows that there are many workers and the cost of living is low, so they don't need to worry about paying the workers as much. Also, Hong Kong's literacy rate is 93.6%, therefore Hong Kong has many educated workers, and having smarter workers is always good. Hong Kong is Canada's 6th largest export market and Canada's 2nd and 5th largest export market for beef and fish respectively. The goods imported to Hong Kong are raw materials and semi-manufacturers, consumer goods, capital goods, food goods, and fuel, mostly that's been re-imported. The Canadian products that would be entering Hong Kong would fit under the food goods and consumer goods. The workers in Hong Kong are very similar to the workers in Canada, except their hours are from 8:30 to 6 normally instead of 9 to 5. And also their minimum wages are $5.40 Canadian per hour, which is good for the Canadian businesses because they would have to pay the workers less overall. Hong Kong has adapted to the North American culture. Most meetings involve handshakes and other North American traditions. Also, most business people in Hong Kong can speak English, or at least limited English, which is good for the Canadian businesses because it will limit the use for translators. Sometimes when translators are used, the translations can be misinterpreted and misused. Hong Kong is a part of many different international organizations such as APEC, IMF, and the WTO. Therefore, many Canadian companies can create or use connections from these organizations to help build relationships with people in Hong Kong. Hong Kong has amazing infrastructure. It has convenient local and regional transportation. Also, world-class telecommunications and connectivity is available. And lastly, it has world-leading sea and air cargo transportation for businesses. Canada has a competitive advantage when it comes to energy resources. We use nuclear energy instead of coal, like in Hong Kong. We also have an advantage when it comes to beef and fish. We have more land available to farm livestock, and also more seas available to farm fish. Lastly, we have a stronger dollar than the Hong Kong dollar. For every 6 Hong Kong dollars, that will give you 1 Canadian dollar. That is good, so it can help Canadian businesses save money when producing products in Hong Kong. But Hong Kong has a competitive advantage when it comes to manufacturing goods. They have more factories and cheaper labor. They also have a higher literacy rate, which makes for smarter workers. And lastly, the transportation in Hong Kong is easier. They have a smaller area with a high population density, unlike in Canada where we have a large area with a low population density. Overall, Canadian businesses shouldn't take too many risks when expanding to Hong Kong. But with these risks, opportunities are created. Canadian businesses risk their products not selling because of a political influence. Also, the products that sell in the Canadian winter wouldn't stand a chance in the Hong Kong market because of the temperature difference. And also, another risk is that the people in Hong Kong wouldn't be able to afford the high-cost items from Canada. That would be because they don't make the same amount of money that we do here in Canada since the wage difference. On the other hand, an opportunity for success comes from Canada already having many connections to Hong Kong through current business relationships and international organizations. And also Canada has a stronger dollar, about 6 times as strong as the Hong Kong dollar. Overall, Canadian businesses shouldn't expand to Hong Kong at the moment. Hong Kong's politics are under a lot of pressure, and that could bring unwanted and surprising change to the business relationships, and it's not worth the risk for maybe making a profit with some of the items. Thank you for listening, and I hope this was somewhat educational.